Welcome to another episode of SG Crypto. In this episode, this is really the third part of the Flare network overview that we've been doing this week. First two parts are a lot of knowledge. I will drop the links to both of those videos in the description if you haven't watched them yet. You're going to want to, just so you're not too lost in this video. So in this video, we're going to cover, this is probably the most my personal favorite of the three. Just a lot of new things, a lot of interesting things that we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, the developer experience. We're going to be talking about dApps and different things that are being built, different projects that are being built on Flare Network, some of the top projects within that, some of the partnerships of each, which is probably the most fascinating part for myself. We're also going to dive into some statistics about Flare Finance thus far and Songbird and how they are comparing to other test nets that are going on. Also, we'll be talking about some issues that are going on with developers that they're having. We'll get into all that, and finally, we'll be talking about some of the bear and bull cases or pros and cons, you could say as well, pros and cons of the network overall, to finish it all off. So let's get into it. So on developer experience, one key area that is an urgent need of attention is the developer experience. So two things stand out in this spot. So firstly is developer resources such as support, tooling, etc. And the big one, this is the second one, is developer grants. So firstly, and we'll have some comparisons for the developer grants, and it's actually kind of astounding. So resources, at the moment, then this is covering the first issue, the developer resources. So at the moment, there is only pretty basic support coming directly from the team. As an example, this tweet regarding testnet upgrades, basically they're just saying that this is basically just about an update to the cost in testnet, which the cost in testnet is for developing dApps, whereas it's like a test net, it's like a sandbox. It's the equivalent of Songbird network, but for dApps. So Songbird is for developing protocols in a test net type or in a testing atmosphere, and Costin is for dApps. So this is really just a tweet about an update they did, and just really trying to provide some resources for people that are looking to develop. So, and as Greg says. Also, I guess I never even shouted this out. So Greg, he is the writer of this article, this blog. Awesome information. This guy is, this is such a long, comprehensive blog. Very easy to understand. He provides all the links so you can easily understand it. And he does have a YouTube channel. This is a video that we're going to a video that I watched on some of the top Flare projects that he covered. I'll leave a link to that. I'll leave the link to everything of all his links, just to spread some awareness about him. He's just got some great content. So definitely somebody to check out. As well, if you're into reading, definitely check out his blogs, and I'll link all that, as I said. So, yeah, this is just about the dApp development. And as he says, this is unsurprising and should be expected, as Flare is a new chain, so it will take time to create tools and build the knowledge base for developers to really make the most of the network. So it's a learning process. There's going to be some hitches out the gate, so be patient if you are developing. Nothing to worry about. So while they are doing a good job with the resources they have, I think we need to see this whole area with the resources they have. Okay, I was reading that a little back. While they are doing a good job with the resources they have, I think we would need to see this whole area be lifted to another level. So they got a new hire as head of the ecosystem. He was recently the head of growth at Outliers Ventures and is very well respected in the crypto venture capital and Web3 accelerators. So definitely a good person to have as the head of the ecosystem. And that's kind of part of it. When you're looking at a new ecosystem or new network, new protocol, dApp, whatever, it's important to look at who is behind it all, and make sure that they are credible people, because you could have some scumbags, and that's where rug pulls come into play and all that stuff that unfortunately happens to people. So As far as grants go, this is the second issue. The need to develop grant program is critical, as other layer ones have massive funds to support a rapid acceleration of development across their ecosystems, and he is not kidding. So for for example, Near, whoever is into that, they have a massive war chest of an estimated 1.2 billion for their grant program, and so Flare is like $1 billion behind. And granted, there are, as we said in previous videos, we have 11.3 million raised, and so that's a massive difference. $1 billion is not something to sneeze at. But I guess, also, and it's important to have that money, because as things start to expand and develop, you need to have those grants and those funds for developers. Otherwise, they will just turn to another network. I mean, why wouldn't they? If they need funding, they're not going to stick with somebody who can't offer them much, and not because they don't want to, just because they financially cannot. And so it's important to get that up. And also looking at Oasis, they raised 200 million. They're up to $200 million in USD. So time will tell if Flare will be able to repeat the success about hiring. But hiring is in progress, as we can see from the Flare careers page. So watch this space. So they are hiring a lot of people right now, and they actually hired, as you can see here, it's kind of small, but they said this role is suitable for a venture analyst investment manager, and they're essentially hiring a grants manager, as it says up here. As grants manager, you will oversee the management and application process for the Flare Foundation. So they are seeking out people in that area, because they must be anticipating, or they should be anticipating, a lot of growth in that area. So good sign. So that's just a little summary of that area. As you guys know, we just covered D2. Just as a brief summary, we covered the third-party developers, the developers' experience, as well as addressed a couple problems within it, or what could be said to be problems. But they seem to be addressing it just fine. So let's move on to usage and traction. So this is covering the dApps, and this is a very interesting part of this video. So usage and transaction, here's a great overview thread on Flare's progress in 2021. At the end of a big year of Flare, here's looking forward to 2022, when our vision for a decentralized, trustless, scalable, composable, and low-carbon Layer 1 blockchain will fully come to life. With a little bit of delays, as always. We'll first look at Songbird, Flare's canary network, at how they have done, and then dive into specific dApps. So Songbird, as we kind of covered these statistics, but this is particular to Songbird and not just the FTSO. So the statistics we covered the other day in the other video were statistics on the FTSOs, and this is specific to the Songbird network. One second. I just dropped my mouse, for those of you who heard that thud. So here's the Songbird network statistics. I'm a one-take kind of guy, by the way. So 240,000 wallets. This is as of December 13th. So 240,000 wallets, 5 million transactions, 300 million FTSO rewards total. We know all that. So yeah, these are the statistics as of December 13th. And then look at this. This is pretty fascinating. Well, not only this, but so we are very much so rivals with the Polkadot Canary Network, Kasuma, which Kasuma is the equivalent of Songbird, and we're ahead of them as of December 13th. They only had 234,000, we had 240. And also, as of 11th of January, so only a month later than that December 13th statistics, we confirmed 10 million transactions have taken place, which is crazy in a month. I mean, think about that. In a matter of 2-3 months since the launch of Songbird, there were 5 million, and then a month later there was 10 million. So it doubled in a matter of a month, which is phenomenal. Now these are the other projects being built on Flare. We all know Flare Finance. That one's huge, has tons of traction, is currently being used, or will be. It's being developed, but it has that Songbird network as its testnet as they slowly launch the protocols. And then Trustline Inc. I don't know much about it. I'm going to look into that, and relay that information over to you guys, because I am interested in that, and I want to understand everything about this network to be the best prepared for anything. Then he talks about the FTSOs that are currently on it. So these are NFT platforms, as well as projects. So Go Gala Games, Crypto 888, Crypto, GE Federation, FCFLIO, and Bored Apes XRP. So actually, I just want to go into. So here's his video. This is the video I was looking at here, that I was watching, him covering some of the top Spark projects. He goes into depth a little bit and talks about some of the partnerships and stuff. And it is fascinating. So here I took some notes on that. And so the top ones that he suggested were first of all Flare Finance, of course, Trustline, Dell Chain, which they offer financial services. And I'm not 100% familiar with what Dell Chain is. I've never even heard of it before this. And in fact, after Flare Finance and Trustline, I've never heard of any of these besides Gala Games. So Dell Chain, they offer financial services. 888, The New World, they are an NFT platform run by artists and built by artists. That's their goal. And they currently have 530,000 users in their Discord and have Paris Hilton on their board of advisors, which is huge news that you don't hear about. And as I said here, a little note, I will be covering that. Once I heard him say that in the video, I was like, what? How? I mean, that's huge. Paris Hilton. It's a big name. And so then finally, Gala Games. And they currently have 1.3 million users, and they deal with NFTs. And actually, also the 888, The New World, this NFT platform, they have actually also partnered with the Esports Federation, or Gaming Esports Federation. That's where that GE thing came from. GE Federation. They partnered with them actually. And so a lot of interesting stuff about Crypto 888, or that 888 platform. So that is something to be on the lookout on this channel. I'm going to be covering that probably next week. So yeah, let's move into the dApp highlights. So Flare Finance is top dog. Flare Finance is an anonymous team of developers building out critical DeFi infrastructure on the Flare network. They aren't affiliated with the core team, although my understanding, Greg's understanding, is that Hugo Fillion, the CEO of Flare, has met the team and vouched for them. So, sounds like, I mean, I believe it's legit. They are going to a huge extent to make sure this is the best it could be. And so this is actually what Flare Finance says about themselves in the white paper. This is a brief description. Flare Finance is the first institutional-grade decentralized finance platform built on the Flare network. It offers a suite of 6 unique decentralized finance products dedicated to bootstrapping the Flare network with a single suite DeFi solution for business and retail finance products. Flare Finance utilizes Web3 capabilities to allow people to engage with our products and services trustlessly without giving up custody of their funds. And so far they have definitely delivered, as he says. Then Flare Finance's experimental finance ExFi platform that we've been using for the past couple months is live on Songbird and has over 20 million in total value locked, with only 3 products out of the 6. This is only a test net. I mean, there's so much interest in this, and there's going to be so much more to come when the bridge is finally brought on for F-asset agents and people are starting to bring on F-assets from other chains. With all that untapped value, that 38 million freaking people. It's crazy. 30 million plus, I should say, because there can be duplicates. So, then here's a little infographic. FlareX, you guys probably can't read this. FlareX is 4th on this list with 20 million and 448% in growth in the past 7 days. Oh man, it's crazy. And the flareloans product isn't doing too badly either, despite a recent sell-off. We all know about that ExFi sell-off. That was fun. I mean, I guess I say that kind of with the connotation that I'm upset about it. I'm not at all. It's free money. I'm not pissed. I'm grateful. But people get mad, dude. It hasn't all been easy sailing with the ExFi airdrops not holding value particularly well. Delays, reworking distributions, and more. This has left some in the community frustrated. Wow, you read my mind. So yeah, this guy tweeted this. These tokens really put the airdrop. You have ExFi, Songbird, and Flare, which are all pertaining to our network, and Solo to us, because it was an airdrop within our network. And yeah, I mean, look at this. All-time high of ExFi was 40, down to 350. You guys can look at this if you want. I don't want to feed into all that shit. So then he put a note at the bottom. Don't. Oh, actually, this isn't a bad strategy, so I shouldn't really laugh. It's just all funny. But dump all your Spark the second it hits your wallet by 10x more a week later when it bottoms out. It's not a bad idea if you look at the history of what's happened, but not financial advice. And even Greg says I can't comment on prices as the market is the market. But what I will say is I believe the Flare team has been very transparent with their work and acted in good faith where issues have cropped up, and they have. They really have. Here's a perfect example of this tweet here. We did not know that Flare Finance had not factored in the Flare Foundation to their calculation of the ExFi distribution. Previously, we had stated that the Flare Foundation will burn 75%, and now it is burning 100%. So they've completely, they've been faithful. So can't be upset with that. And then here is a summary of this. So positive statistics coming from these our Songbird network, 240,000 plus wallets. Yup. And Flare Finance already pushing their total value level higher. And here is actually a business model analysis. So here's that flywheel we kind of covered of how typically not just Flare but any protocol works. The team governance launches the protocol, which leads to a better token price, which leads to functionality, useful applications, etc. I will link this in the description so you guys can kind of look at it. It is specifically designated, as you can see, as bullet points all around each area. So it's specific to Flare. So I'll link that in the description so you guys can look at that. It's kind of a good little cliff notes of the network overall, or overview. So then we'll move on to one of the final parts, Flare setup and governance. So the core team is as follows: Hugo Fillion, and he's the co-founder and CEO, obviously. And he previously founded previously founder of Modular Building System in Future Generations, and he was a portfolio manager at two $1 billion plus funds. That's massive. That's massive. So he knows his way around money. Sean Rowan, he was the CTO. He was involved in blockchain space since 2015. He designed secure vehicular communications protocols, leveraging a blockchain-based public key infrastructure with colleagues at UCLA and TCD. R&D engineer at Rail in Dublin, Ireland, where he developed back-end networking software for a healthcare assistive robot. The latest version of this robot by Rail is featured on the cover of Time magazine, so he is credible. And then finally, Dr. Nairi Usher. She's the chief scientist, and she was previously postdoctoral researcher in quantum machine learning at UCL. And she worked in collaboration with Siemens on applications of quantum algorithms to healthcare and image recognition. Very credible. I mean, some good names. I mean, I've never heard of them before this, obviously, but all this experience really checks out. So the wider the team has grown significantly recently, the wider team has grown significantly since. Wow, I'm struggling here. The wider team has grown significantly recently as Flare has been on a hiring spree and now has 20 people in the organization. Not massive, but they're doing a hell of a job for 20 people. So 8 advisors have been appointed in the project. All advisors bring business acumen and specific expertise in blockchain-related projects. Their combined experience and education are relevant to the project. So it's not like they're just hiring people off the street. They're hiring people that are specific to this project that will provide value. And then here's the company structure. So they have 2 different parts to it: the Flare Foundation, which is not for profit, and the Flare Networks Ltd, which is for profit with investors and has 35% total voting power with 25 million Flare tokens. And here is just kind of a split up. I know 35% is a lot of voting power, but here's the split up. And they did this specifically, so, and as they say here, no party could hold more than 1 billion tokens because of whale cap, which is good. We can't have, because then it becomes centralized, and the whole thing is pointless. So 46% voting token holdings go to XRP holders, and they have 65% voting rights. In Flare Networks Limited, which is right here, they have 35% voting rights and 25% tokens. and obviously Flare Foundation has 29% with no voting power. So the voting power is in our hands. It's not in any company. It's not in no specific person. So it is decentralized. No worries. And here's a quick little Flare governance decision categories by ftso.uk. One of the FTSOs in the network, and it's just a brief kind of description of the different decision categories and how many Spark tokens, or how much, what percentage of the Spark tokens is required for each decision. So there's 3 different categories: the simple, super, and super majority. Obviously, the further on, the more complicated the decision. The more complex and the more, I shouldn't say complex, I should say more important. And so I'll link this infographic in the description for you guys. And if you want to look at it right now, just pause the video and read over a little bit. And so that's really all of it. He says here, ideally, I would love to see a plan for the Flare Network's limited company part of voting power get gradually handed over to the community, but this will likely come with time. So Greg, feels that Flare Networks Ltd has too much voting power, which 35% is a lot. He's not wrong for that. And then here's that flywheel that we talked about. Then here are some bull and bear situations, or the bull and bear bullet points so far. What are some good things, what are some bad things? And so firstly, on the bull side, on the pro side, is the users of non-Turing complete chains convert assets to Flare in search of yields. Correct, that's the bridging over of different F assets into F assets. So, and secondly, continued additions to F asset roster, pulling in more communities at infinitum as new chains are launched. Very true as well. There seems to be no ceiling to where this can go, because F assets can be brought on from any chain. Thirdly, proof of stake is shown to be less secure and more users convert. Yes. Fourthly, Flare achieves scale without issues and carves out a piece of the layer 1 pie. Then in the bear situation, in the cons, firstly, technology becomes outdated quickly. Very true, very true. I mean, we've seen so much innovation in the past 40 years, 20 to 40 years. Technology becomes outdated quickly. Will Flare be so nimble when it is live? Secondly, still not live. It's still not live, and as such, other layer 1s have a head start with massive funding behind them. True. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm not worried. Thirdly, I'm sure neither are they. Thirdly, will the demand for assets be there? Wrap Bitcoin still only accounts for 1.4% of circulating supply, and that's not changed since June 21st. Really? Fourth, Spark-dependent applications, or SDAs, rely on third-party networks to keep growing and gain adoption. And fifth, wild swings, supported currencies, tokens, could potentially cause collateral issues. And so that's really it. I hope, if you guys really want a good understanding of this, maybe watch this 3-part series over another time, or a third time, or dive into this article and just start reading. It will come with time. It's a lot to take in if you're new to this network. So don't get don't be deterred. It's very complex, and it takes time to understand it all. There's still some things that there's always more to learn about this network and any other network. And as I said, we'll be covering those projects. We'll be covering, let's see here. In the next week, we'll definitely be covering that 888, the New World, the NFT platform with Paris Hilton. That'll be next week for sure. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll update you guys accordingly. So if you have any questions on this video, this is the third part of a 3-part series. The other 2 videos are linked in the description, the first 2 parts. So yeah, check them out to get a full understanding of this network overview. Again, a huge shout out to Greg for writing this entire article. All links are in the description. If you have questions, comments, concerns, or found I didn't say something correctly, if I misspoke, please correct me in the comments. And if you have an immediate issue or question, you can email me at sgcryptoedu@gmail.com. So with that, I hope you guys have an awesome day, and catch you later.